This podcast may contain discussions of graphic violence, unsettling themes, supernatural phenomena, and other topics that some listeners may find disturbing or triggering. Listener discretion is advised. This podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only. The opinions expressed are simply those of the individual hosts and do not represent the profession of psychology or constitute professional advice.
Welcome back to the Secret Passage podcast. It is I, Dana Vespoli, alongside Shannon Rogers.
Hello.
We are so happy to be back and have a pretty intense episode. I think they're all pretty intense, but this one's a challenging subject. But before we get into it, Shannon, did you venture down any interesting secret passages this past week?
I did. I discovered I have aphantasia, which is like a thing that like 4% of the population has, like 1 to 4%. So this whole time in my life, I have thought that everyone's brain is like mine. And it's so weird to discover this. So, I took a whole class on guided visualizations once as part of just my degree and just like an elective. And I was like doing the guided visualizations, and I'm like, this is kind of like they ask you to find a serene place where you can feel at peace. And I would like conjure up in my mind, I'm like a lake, a park, an ocean. Like, I don't know. I could never settle on a place. And I also wasn't seeing, I didn't see any places in my mind. I thought it was just sort of a metaphor or something like just think of a thing, remember a thing, and so come to find out, people like you and other people in your brains, you see images. Like you can see an image of an ocean.
If I picture it, yeah.
Yeah, you can actually. I thought picturing something was like a metaphor. I didn't think it was actual. I didn't think people could see a thing in their mind's eye. I cannot, and I never have been able to. So I thought it was really interesting. Oof. If I had images all the time, that would really freak me out. And I kind of think I wonder if that's why I can tolerate so many like horrific images and they don't come back and haunt me. Even like of traumatic experiences I've had, I don't have visual flashbacks. I don't remember. I can't. They don't come to me that way. It's more like sensory. So interesting.
Yeah. I guess I hadn't really thought about it. I mean, I can't concentrate long enough on a single image. I'll have a lot of things pop up, but there is an image. If I picture, if somebody says picture an ocean, I'll see waves
Yeah.
in my head. But then I'll start to think of all the different oceans in the world, and then I'll start thinking about sharks, and then I'll start thinking about horse latitudes from The Doors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your mind will wander and
Yeah.
go to other things.
But yeah, I picture images. I know I sound really boring right now. Let me get some more coffee.
Okay. I know I have my tiny cup of coffee.
I'm like,
I know.
Anyway.
I also have my Waterloo. This is a good flavor, lemon lime. It's really good.
Is that from Trader Joe's?
No, this is like the Waterloo brand.
Oh.
So we get it from Costco, but we don't usually get this one, but I got it anyway because I was tired of the other flavors. And it's actually pretty good. I usually don't like the lemon or the lime. It's good.
Well, let me think. I have been thinking about The Shining again. It's almost time for me to rewatch it. So my secret passage, I was just thinking about horror movies. I know that when we talk about horror movies, they're not very popular in terms of our episodes. So that sucks because I really like talking about horror, but I understand.
I think we should for Halloween. Danny's not here, Mrs. Torrance.
I fucking love The Shining. I was thinking about Stanley Kubrick. Well, as you know, I was kind of venturing down a David Lynch path last week. I was thinking about watching Twin Peaks Fire Walk with me, and then I started watching Twin Peaks: The Return. and I stepped away from it and was watching Inland Empire,
Mm.
which I turned off after about 45 minutes. It was just, I know that the way to watch a lot of David Lynch is to watch it as a performance art type piece, or as a piece of artwork that isn't going to be cohesive necessarily, even though he's capable. I mean, he did I mean, for the most part, like Twin Peaks follows uh linear storyline. He also, I don't know if you know this, do you know the movie The Straight Story?
Yes.
He that's his movie. So
Mm-hmm.
so he it's not as though he's incapable of making just a straight narrative story.
Mm-hmm.
He is. But I was thinking, I was trying to watch Inland Empire last
Mm.
night, and then I was like, man, I can't. And then I started thinking about The Shining again. I was like, yes. Because, I have this incredible book. It's huge. It's a bunch of essays on The Shining, like
Mm-hmm.
so many essays. There's a lot of scholarship about that movie. I just fucking love that movie so much. And
It's
Doctor
so
Sleep.
good. I love that movie, and I also love Eyes Wide Shut, and I haven't seen that in so long, and I'm so excited to watch it.
I rewatched it again, I want to say 2 months ago. I'm going to watch it again. I love Sidney Pollack too.
Mm-hmm.
He's in that. Anyway, so yeah, nothing crazy. Just thinking about The Shining. Anyone who's followed me for a while knows that I love The Shining a lot.
It's a perfect movie. It's like The
It's
Exorcist.
Yeah, I fucking love it.
I mean, it's like grand, in terms of its. I mean, I just being in that immersed in the world of it is just a pleasurable experience. They just don't make movies like that anymore, you
Right.
know? There's a place we stay when we go visit my parents in Oregon, and it's called the Scotia Lodge, and it's this old lodge in this town that was like a mill town. The town owned the mill owned all the homes. It was this old lodge people used to go to, and they'd have meals and whatever. It is totally like the hotel in The Shining, and when we stay there, it is just like there's something just being in that space. I would love to go. We should go to the hotel that was in The Shining,
The
and like
Stanley.
yeah, and like do an episode from there or something.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's based on The Shining.
Mhm.
It's crazy because I know they used for the exterior shots Timberline Lodge. Oh, that's what it was. Okay. Did you know that they filmed an ending to The Shining where Wendy Torrance is in a hospital and Mr. Ullman comes to visit her at the hospital? Did you know
No.
that? Yeah.
No.
They cut it out. Stanley Kubrick was like, "No, we're going to
Hmm.
end it where it ends, with Jack Nicholson. It's a 4th of July picture where he's standing, and I've been watching, so on TikTok there's all kinds of The Shining stuff keeps popping up on my For You
Mhm.
page.
Mhm.
And one thing I didn't notice is that the way that Jack Torrance is positioned is like the position of Baphomet, where he's got one hand up and one hand down,
Whoa.
which again, if Stanley Kubrick rarely doesn't have I mean, he's always got, everything is very precise that he
Yeah.
does. His hand is in everything. So apparently, and there's a picture, a still from the scene where you see Wendy Torrance and she's like in a hospital bed, and Mr. Ullman is sitting in a chair next to her, visiting, and he apologizes for everything that happened, et cetera, et cetera. Then he goes to leave, and Danny Torrance is outside, like in the hallway of the hospital. And Mr. Ullman goes and he sees Danny and he hands him a ball. And it's
Hmm.
the ball that the twins from The Shining were playing with, or it's, yeah. Anyway,
Ugh.
what it does is it suggests that Mr. Ullman is very much aware of the Overlook Hotel and everything that goes on. But there's some discussion about whether that would have been good or not. I like the way that it ends
Yeah, I thought it was a
right
great
now.
ending. Yeah. Haunting.
Very haunting, but it's interesting because, when you think about Mr. Ullman in The Shining, he's just oblivious. He knows that some terrible things happened. He's reluctant to or he cautions Jack Torrance, but then in the end, they need a caretaker. And then this suggests
Wow.
that he understood what was probably going to happen, which doesn't quite work
Yeah.
because that would mean that Mr. Ullman is like a real piece of shit that would let a husband and father bring everyone to the hotel knowing that, years prior, Grady murdered his wife and daughters. So,
Interesting. Do you think
yeah.
he selected him because of his initial vibes? Like you could feel his vibe in the very first beginning of the movie. You could tell there was some element that was.
Oh, he gave off the energy. I always thought about this because, I also love the novel. I love the novel and I love Stephen King's sensitivity about it because it's a very personal story.
Mhm.
But in the book, Jack Torrance is a sympathetic guy. You really get to know him as a person.
Mhm.
He's absolutely a sympathetic person.
Mhm.
In the movie, yeah, he's wound tight. You
Yeah.
can sense that this is a guy that is a violent drunk. The car ride, because
Mm.
uh, my partner and I joke about it all the time. When he goes, they start talking about the Donner Party, and then Jack Torrance is driving, and he's just like, there's so much tension, right? He's like
Yes.
driving the car, and they're driving, and he's like, yeah, the Donner Party had to resort to cannibalism to stay alive. And Wendy goes, Jack. And then Danny says, it's okay, Mom. I know all about cannibalism. I saw it on television. And then Jack Torrance goes, see, it's okay. He saw it on the television. And it's like so
Oh,
creepy.
oh, I know. He's like a ticking time bomb.
Right.
Yeah.
You just know he's got so much repressed rage and entitlement and all that going, because he lost his teaching job and is a failed author and all that. But I love that. I love that they went with that and all the bear imagery.
Mhm. Mhm. Just making me think about all of our trips to Tahoe. As there wasn't a single time in my life that I've driven to Tahoe that someone in the car hasn't mentioned the Donner Party. I feel like everybody, you know. Anyway.
Yeah, so funny.
Yeah.
I guess we should get into this fun topic.
Yes, let's talk about a little about why we wanted to talk about this, maybe, right?
Yes. So, trigger warning. I know that we have a trigger warning before all our episodes, but we will be talking about pedophilia. We will be talking about sexual abuse of minors. And so, anyone that is triggered by that should move on to the next episode where we're probably talking about something else equally disturbing. Anyway, so first of all, it seems like there has been an uptick, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, or if it's just coming across my For You page a lot on social media, but it seems like there's an uptick in female teachers sexually abusing minors or their students, minor students, primarily male students, is what I'm seeing. And
Mhm.
one that has come up a lot recently is the case of Christina Formella, the special education teacher. She's 30 years old, who is charged with sexually abusing a 15-year-old boy, unnamed.
Started when he was 14 and then yeah. Mhm.
Right. It feels like there are more cases like this coming to light, and I am not sure if it is because, and you and I have discussed this, if this is because it's a different time now where we are as a society recognizing that men can be sexually abused, and so it's being reported more often now. Whereas in the past, there is something that felt emasculating almost for young boys to report it, as though
Mhm.
they don't believe that they can be abused because of whatever reason, because they're male, because traditionally females are the ones that get abused, because of their physiological response means that they couldn't have been abused because perhaps they were aroused, perhaps they had an erection, they were able to see it through. And so because of that, they feel shame about it.
Or they get confused because women, the way women perpetrate is so different. There's like, a relational, emotional kind of component sometimes. Like they've groomed them into feeling like they're in a relationship, or it's like disguised as care and
Right.
love or something. Yeah.
Right, because it's not overtly aggressive.
Yeah.
So so then I saw that the case of Christina Formella about a year and a half ago. I think a movie came out inspired by the Mary Kay Letourneau case, a movie
Hmm.
called May December, starring Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore. That was met with some controversy because they never bothered to consult with Vili Falau, who was the young boy that was abused in that situation. So when I did a search on cases of female teachers perpetrating these assaults on their students, so many came up, just
Hmm.
so many.
Hmm.
But the one that stuck out was Christina Formella. It was very interesting. It reminded me a little bit of Mary Kay Letourneau, just in how there seemed to be a case of arrested development. And also this tagline of pedophile, female pedophile,
Yeah. I
is
mean,
it seems like an awfully broad term to be used considering.
the variations.
Yeah,
No, so for people who don't know who Mary Kay Letourneau is, maybe we just tell a little bit because she's kind of like the
OG.
OG. But for us, because of our generation, she was the first one that made the headlines, I think. Yeah. Eh,
It was a case that was perfect for the media because she was such an attractive woman, and it was also someone who seemed to kind of have it all as far as 4 children, a nice husband, she's a teacher, all that. So I'll go ahead and give a background on both of them. But
Okay.
let's start actually with Christina Formella because she's the most recent
Mhm.
case. So a little background. Um, Christina Formella was she's still alive, but I say was because I think she might be older now. Christina
Mhm.
Formella, a 30-year-old special education teacher and soccer coach at Downers Grove South High School. That is who she is. She is accused of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old student during a private tutoring session. The initial allegations were the incident reportedly occurred in December of 2023, but it became public when details surfaced in March of 2025, so very recently. This was after a concerned parent found explicit text messages on the student's phone regarding the abuse. So, Formella allegedly used her position of trust to engage in sexual activities with a minor. And it was the student's mother that discovered the text messages, which detailed the abuse. And this prompted her to report it to law enforcement on March 15th of 2025. And Formella was arrested on March 16th, 2025, during a traffic stop alongside her husband. That had to have been really awkward.
I saw it. It was weird, the video.
And so she faces multiple charges, including aggravated criminal sexual abuse and criminal sexual assault. Following her arrest, she was released on the condition of no contact with minors. So some of the court documents detail communications. Investigative reports reveal several explicit text messages exchanged between Formella and the victim, including notes on her phone that discussed the relationship. So she was treating her notes app like a little journal.
I
And
know.
she was trying to manifest good things and talking about him as though they were the same age. That's the thing that's really strange. So naturally, public reaction has been wild.
Yeah. Like shock,
Shock.
disgust, contempt.
And then you have the reaction of I see it all the time. I saw it back with Mary Kay Letourneau. I see it now. Where was she when I was a
Oh yeah.
student? She's hot. That's not sexual abuse. That's a dream come true.
Oh my God, I know. I
Yeah.
know.
So a lot of people wonder why. This is another situation of a woman that has it all. Why am I not seeing where exactly? Where is Downers Grove?
Let me look. Oh, Illinois.
Okay. So why? Why does this happen? She is an attractive woman, married, comes from a good background by all accounts. I mean, of course, this is all surface level. This is still new, and they're still investigating. And she's
Yeah.
denying it. I think that's important to point out. These are all alleged. She is claiming that this student had a crush on her. She rejected his advances. He took her phone and planted all this stuff on her phone to make her look bad,
And to blackmail her because her
to
husband's
blackmail.
rich. Yeah. Her husband's
Right.
like a millionaire. Yeah.
And her husband and his parents, her in-laws, are backing her 100%. They're standing by her. Might be because it just is so egregious. They just can't believe that she would do this, that she would engage in an inappropriate relationship with a student. So she's claiming blackmail. And also, she thinks that she has claimed that everyone is out to get her because they're jealous of how pretty she is. That's that's another thing.
That's a whole thing. It's just, that. So I don't even know where to go with this.
Well, so I'm going to say this. I'm going to
Yeah.
say this. It's bizarre. She's an adult, and she's speaking as though she's a teenage girl.
And she was with her husband. She's been with her husband since high school, which I think, to your point, like maybe, since she hasn't had very many experiences and she's, I'm not saying that people who have long-term relationships that start when they're young are stunted in their growth, but I'm just saying, like, when kind of have a bunch of different relationships, or you kind of go to, it's necessary to kind of grow developmentally, like you meet someone in your 20s and you've had a whole life up until your 20s, and you start with them when you're in your 20s. So you have all the learning from before. And it just seems like it's more, I just imagine her feeling like she's 15 still, like, because of her life seems like it's been sort of the same for.
So here's what I would say to that. I know that my boxing coach has been with his wife since high school,
Mhm.
and they're normal people. And my partner's one of his best friends, high school sweetheart. They're married, they have kids, both of them perfectly normal adults. I'm speculating. I wonder if something really traumatic happened to Christina Formella when she was a young adult
Maybe.
that stunted her, because
Or she's just a narcissist and
a
whatever.
narcissist
Yeah.
and
Like,
immature, and
right.
very, very immature, and
Yeah.
just stunted, and emotionally just stuck in a place of a teenager. Although you see that a lot with trauma, but yeah, maybe it's just that whole, they're just jealous. People are jealous because I'm so pretty. They're so jealous of me. Like that kind of response, to not have any self-awareness, that comes across really just is incredibly immature. Like, is weird to me. That's such a
Yeah.
middle school thing to say, and to think that it's going to fly or not make her look worse than she already does is weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because there's a difference between pedophilia as a thing where people are like sexually attracted to minors. And just because you end up having sex with a minor doesn't mean you're necessarily a pedophile. I mean, I guess the act itself is a pedophilic act or
Right.
something, but like she could easily be somebody who feels because of some cognitive distortion and other stuff, like because she was sexually attracted to him. He's not 4, he's 15 or 14. That's still
Right.
gross, but like he's at least pubescent. And so
And similar perhaps in maturity level.
yeah, and like, people right give themselves a pass all the time to be able to act on their sexual urges. So there might have been a way she was telling herself, he's a peer, or or felt like a peer. But yeah, is she really a true pedophile? Does she harbor feelings for young boys? I don't know.
Yes, that is there comes a point it reminds me. So my oldest son, when he was wrestling in high school, and we'd all go to these tournaments. And the interesting thing about high school, so there's an interesting thing developmentally, like when my twins, when I would drop them off and pick them up from middle school, there's that awkward age where you see like little itty bitty kids that are 14, and then you see
Mhm.
giants that are 14, right?
Yes.
And so you'll see like they have huge feet and hands because they're all growing into their bodies. By high school, and I'd go to these tournaments, I'd see these teens that look like they had a whole ass mortgage and wife and kids. Like that's what they look like,
Yes.
mustaches, right? Like
Yeah.
chest hair. I'm like,
Like men.
yeah, grown ass men where I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, are you wrestling him? Is that somebody's dad? It's crazy. So you're looking at boys that chronologically are children, right? They're 14, 15, 16, but they physically look like 18, 19, 20, 21, 30 sometimes. Like again, some of these
Mhm.
boys had full on mustaches. It's crazy.
Mhm.
So, and this isn't to excuse Christina Formella, but just it could be we have no idea the boy is being protected because
Yeah.
he's a minor. We have no idea if he looked really, really, really young, if he looked like an older teenager. Again, not excusing what happened. She was in a position of power and she was entrusted to tutor him and to keep him safe and help educate him. And that didn't happen.
Yeah, it's like ethically and legally wrong. But
Yes,
you can
absolutely.
see how like yeah. Yeah.
But to classify her as classically a pedophile, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. Developmentally, she saw him as a peer. The way that she behaved in the text messages toward him, the way she was jealous of other girls.
Yeah. Like she was still having her high school relationship, it felt like.
Right. And
Mhm.
and and not seeing herself as an adult and him as a child, but seeing them as equal is where it reminds me a little bit of Mary Kay Letourneau, as
Yeah.
far as she wholeheartedly believed that she and her victim were soulmates
Yeah.
and saw him as an equal to her
Yep.
s-
Emotionally.
emotionally, and her emotional self was very, very stunted. The hoops she jumped through and the risks she took to keep that relationship going were alarming and disturbing.
That's the thing that's so interesting about like sex in general, but like in terms of pedophilia, like a larger conversation about pedophilia is that there's so much impulsivity. Like, how impulsive is that to cross that line just because you have some attraction, emotional or otherwise, to just hit the go button like that and throw everything to the wind? Like, your relationship with your husband that you've been with since you were in high school and the millions of dollars that like everything. She threw caution to the wind.
Well, that impulsivity
Yeah.
just screams of immaturity.
Yeah, and, like, the ethical part is interesting too, like, I wonder people sometimes get a thrill from that, from crossing those kinds of lines. It makes it more sexy to them. Like, therapists who do that, I just think, "Oh my god, like, what must it take for you to cross that line?" That is a serious line. It must be that it gets them off. There's some payoff for doing that because otherwise you'd be too afraid. I mean, I'm too afraid to cross ethical boundaries, like She should have been, I mean, it's like she was not afraid. She just went for it. Or if she was telling herself she wouldn't get caught, or the audacity, just like it's
With
so
Christina
reckless.
with Christina
Yeah,
Formella?
it's so reckless. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
she has her whole career. What she was risking, her whole career, her marriage,
her
her
reputation.
reputation.
She lost her license.
Yeah. And that kind of recklessness. I don't know that she is cognizant fully of what was at stake. Again, there's something incredibly immature about her. There's also the thing where she clearly didn't think she'd get caught.
That's
That's
such a the hubris. So
yeah.
you want I looked up some stuff like on because we were talking about the difference between, well, first of all, that there isn't a lot of research about female pedophiles.
There really isn't. Listeners, we were looking to see the similarities and the differences between male and female pedophiles, and there just hasn't been much research done.
Yeah, and then the research does show is what you would see, just you would gather from just hearing about the cases, because it just is it you can see the pattern. Like
Mhm.
90 to 95% of convicted child sex offenders are male. Females underreported due to societal views of women we have as nurturing. So males, I guess, tend to be motivated by sexual gratification, and they may have like some pedophiles have exclusive attraction to kids, or they have like stress triggered attachment or stress triggered acting out and attraction to children. And
So
I
for
guess
what would be an example of that? Like stress triggered?
so, like in the treatment of pedophiles, one of the main things is people tend to act out when their defenses are when they're overwhelmed. So, like if somebody's going through a breakup, a job loss, can't pay their bills, that's when people kind of regress and start doing these behaviors. So, or even like under stress, they can the attraction can be triggered. So, in their normal life when they're doing fine, that might not bother them. They might not get a big hit of that and a desire to go, you know, have sex with a kid. But under stress, they will have more of that attraction and more likely to actually act out. So with women, they say that emotional needs and intimacy and control and trauma reenactment are the motivations usually, and much less like a fixed sexual preference. So males have like a higher rate of paraphilic disorders, antisocial traits, substance abuse, grooming, coercion. This is interesting. Females are more likely to have depression, borderline personality, trauma histories, abuse, often tied to emotional dependency, which is interesting. So women tend to it's subtler abuse, so like inappropriate touching, sexualized caregiving, and they often target known children like family or students. So females tend to get lighter sentences and less like are likely to be prosecuted because of the biases in our culture. So that's just a little bit about the differences. And I looked up some cases. I tried to look up some cases that were like just stranger violent rape, like jumping out of a bush with a knife and and there was one that actually showed up. I don't think I saved it. Um, but so women also do commit violent rape sometimes of strangers, but it's much less rare, it sounds like.
And in those cases, is it against children?
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually, so this is another interesting thing that I listen to this great podcast. It's called Psychology in Seattle, and it's this guy. He's a therapist, and he interviews two pedophiles, a female one and a male one, and they. It was interesting the distinction that one of them made about just not having attraction for bodies that were pubescent, like who had post puberty bodies. This person had had a sexual relationship with a relative who was like 2 years older than him when he was starting when he was 5 years old. And so I think probably for him, there was this, like the wires were firing together, like in his mind, like that was attractive and sexual and exciting. And he was so young that he sort of developed, I feel like he developed in this way to have that attraction. And so as an adult, he continues to have the attraction, but he's not a psychopath and he's not compulsive. So he doesn't go out and harm kids, but that's who he's attracted to. But he abstains from harm because he's not a psychopath and he doesn't want to hurt children. But it's just wild to think about the layers of this and how, like, as a society, we need to protect ourselves against people who harm children, but that in the process of maligning this group of people, so, understandably, so, they're like the one group you could just be like, I hate them, fuck them, and we all agree. But there are many, many people in the minor attracted person community, the no map community, the non-offending minor attracted person, women, lots of women and men in that community who are not sexual sadists and don't want to hurt people, but are stuck with this attraction and that they can't act on. And so, like, therapists will often use like harm reduction and work with them on impulse control and, sort of managing, like, if you have access to kids, how much time should you be spending with them? If you find yourself getting really attached to a child, get some space. So, but people don't seek therapy because they're like so afraid to tell anyone, because when they tell people, they get rejected. People hate them. Um, so anyway, I had a friend who was a journalist and she infiltrated a group of pedophiles, and she said it was just the most secretive group that you could imagine, for good reason, right? Like, if you tell people you're a pedophile, it's, a lot for them to, get rejected and all that. But she said, when she came out to them, they were so angry that she had infiltrated their group. And so I don't know. It's like they live in secrecy and and without so people in the therapy world, in the psychology world, are trying to walk this delicate line of, destigmatizing so that people will go get help, so that people, don't get lumped into the category with
The
sexual
psychopaths.
sadist. Yeah.
Right.
So we're walking this a line of, like, can we create a euphemism? Can we call them minor attracted people? And that will, that will humanize them, because they are a whole human. They're not just their sexual predilections or whatever. So there's that. And then there's also people in the group, the world of pedophiles, who want to normalize it and who want to legalize it.
Right.
And so there's this dance you have to do around even talking about it these days, which is like, I used to laugh at people for saying minor attracted person. I was like, that's a dangerous euphemism. That's going to normalize this whole thing. Now I've totally changed my mind after listening to those people talk about their experience. I think it's probably useful to have a minor attracted person designation and separate offending from non-offending, and then reserve pedophile for, like, the sociopaths. And then some people are campaigning to make it a sexual orientation, which I don't agree with, because I
No.
think that totally normalizes it.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, like, kind of what's going on in the world about this. Like, how do we think about this? How do we treat it? What do we call it? But it's what you said. I think for Christina Formella, I think you're right. It's like, I don't even know if she's really a pedophile. And does that one act make her a pedophile, though, in people's, definition? I don't know.
Yeah. That's the thing. When we throw that label around, we have to really think about, like, is this an actual case of she is absolutely 100%, her preference is for underage males, boys,
Mhm, mhm.
or is this a case of she latched onto this one particular boy and in her own arrested development doesn't differentiate or even recognize, like, did she even use her position as a teacher
Mm,
to dominate him or coerce him in any way, shape, or form,
yep.
so that there's that as well. Again, what she did was absolutely fucking against the law. It should have never happened, and she's absolutely guilty, if allegedly, right? She's
Yes.
insisting it never happened, but if it's true. If it's true. Same thing with Mary Kay Letourneau. I don't know that she is. It's a classic case of pedophilia. I mean, shit. Vili Falau was 12. Like
Jeez.
that is rough. That is a really really rough thing. But man, she was a incredibly damaged woman. Had everything to fucking lose. Four children, a husband, a career, and just kept violating all the terms of, like, she violated the terms of her parole by immediately meeting up with Vili Falau again. Oh, so I keep talking about Mary Kay Letourneau, but for those listening, Mary Kay Letourneau she passed away in 2020. In 1996, she was 34 years old, and she was an elementary school teacher in Washington State. And her victim, as I said, was 12 years old. His name is Vili Falau. He's still alive. He's still around. She was sexually abusing Vili Falau beginning in 1996. And she became pregnant by him while still married to another man. She was charged, pled out, was given a suspended sentence with strict conditions, and then later a full prison term after she violated the no contact order. She went and met up with Vili Falau in her car, I believe is what happened. And then in 1997, she pleaded guilty to 2 counts of second-degree child rape. That's in Washington State. That's what it's, yeah, in the state of Washington. She initially received a suspended prison sentence, conditioned jail time, treatment, and no contact with the victim. She violated the order. And then she ended up 7.5 years in prison.
Mm.
She gave birth to 2 children fathered by Falau, one before and one during her incarceration. After prison, she was released in 2004. So at this point, Vili Falau was a legal adult. He successfully sought to lift the no contact order, and the two got married in 2005. In 2017, he filed for legal separation. They later divorced. And Mary Kay Letourneau died of cancer in 2020. So,
God,
it's rough, man.
like, what was she getting out of that?
She was a very, 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 very broken person. I this is controversial, but I have a lot of compassion for her. She had a really rough life. This doesn't excuse what happened, because what happened is Vili Falau was robbed of his childhood. He was sexually abused. I'm sorry, he was 12 years old. He was absolutely abused.
But what was her life? I don't know her history.
So she came from an upper middle class family,
Mm.
but she was apparently sexually abused herself when she was about 7, 8 years old by older brothers,
Mm.
which she downplayed later, which I feel like is further evidence that it actually did impact her. She tried to play it off like it wasn't a big deal. But I'm sorry, when you're 7 and 8 years old and you're being fondled and groped by older people, that's, she also was, when she was 11 years old, she was supposed to keep an eye on her 3-year-old brother, and he drowned.
Oof.
And her mother, Mary Kay, always felt like her mother held it against her. And I think that Mary Kay herself felt a lot of shame and a lot of depression about that.
Mm.
And so just going to that theory about how sometimes we are emotionally trapped at an age when severe trauma happens. I think that there's an argument to be made for the fact that when she was 11, she lost her younger sibling, and then was blamed for it, and then traumatized by that. And then her falling in love with a boy that was the age she was when that happened. And I'm not trying to simplify in any way, shape, or form what happened to Vili Falau. He's 100% a victim in this. There's something so, I can't wrap my mind around, and I think that that's a big part of this too, is that what she did was absolutely reprehensible, but there's something so odd about the fact that she was so defiant in it, like really believed. And I think for her, she believes she was in love with Willie Falau. I think she
Yeah.
absolutely believes it.
And she might have been in love with him, and he
Oh
might have
yeah,
been in
I
love
mean, I'm
with
not gonna.
her.
Yeah,
And
I don't know. If he,
yeah,
I think he loved her. I think there's a trauma bond there for him.
something, but I mean, this stuff happens.
Yeah,
Like
he saw it
people,
through. He is a grandfather now, I think,
yeah, I
which
mean,
is so
people feel
weird.
what they feel, and
Yeah.
like, and they do what they do, and like, it's interesting because we jump to like a lot of judgment around this stuff, and okay, that's fine, but like, there was something. I think people get wired in this way through experience. I mean, maybe the people are born with it. I don't think we'll ever really know what makes the complexities involved in this, but there was something. I mean, it's too bad because he was violated,
Yeah.
and but and that part that also shaped him, like, y- so.
Yeah, he ended up with substance abuse. I think he struggled with alcoholism.
Mhm.
I mean, he was absolutely.
And his family accepted it too, right?
They had to. They were like, well, these are our grandchildren. The kids that he
God.
fathered from Mary Kay. Like it's
Some families would have cut people off, though. They would have been like, "Sorry, I'm not we okay, we'll hang out with the grandkids, but we do not condone this relationship."
yeah.
And
But I think it's the case of they had to take care of those babies because she was in prison. You know,
ugh,
so
right.
yeah. But in terms of emotional maturity, when I think about Mary Kay being 34, there's because you think about it, you think about being a 34-year-old woman talking to like 12 and 13-year-old kids and seeing a relationship through, you have to be stunted. You have to be stunted. And this wasn't a case where she was running out and getting with other 12, 13. She focused on Billy Falau like that. She was in love with him. Like she fucking
That's
loved him.
that's the part that's so like that I'm like, okay, because you have something does not mean that you should act on it. So
Well,
like
of course
there's
not.
like
Yeah.
right, there's a piece where I'm like, there's the impulse control issue, but there's the issue of like not slapping yourself and waking up and going, "Oh my god, what am I doing?" I mean, that speaks to the immaturity.
Oh my, can you imagine being her husband?
Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
God. Holy
What a
shit.
nightmare.
Absolute
Nightmare.
fucking nightmare.
For
And
kids.
her children, her 4 children, her 4 children. That's the part I have such a hard time reconciling in all of this. Like, this was an incredibly broken woman. I am sorry. There's like,
It's so selfish. It's, like, so selfish. So, like, I have this itch I need to satisfy. This is the thing where I'm like, "Ugh." Like, I don't know if we should start having these conversations with, like, people who volunteer to work with children or who work with children as a career. Like, honestly, if because if you are a necrophiliac, you're gonna go look for jobs in a mortuary. So there's probably crawling with pedophiles that are hiding,
yeah.
teachers, and or even if there's just one, it's like, I don't know, is this part of the onboarding? Like, is this part like the ethics discussion that happens in training programs that you need to check yourself if you find yourself, being sexually attracted to kids? They probably should start talking about this and like I don't know how to address it. I don't know how to get people to seek treatment, but we get lots of lectures as therapists and training that like, good therapy does not involve sex with your clients, and it's like so taboo and forbidden. And I just don't know if they're talking about it in these training programs for teachers and in professional circles for teachers, like hammering it home. Like, if you find yourself in this position, please talk to someone, please, right?
Yeah, but then you think about all the shame around it, the
Yeah.
embarrassment around it, and then also just the, for those sociopaths, psychopaths that are like, ha, ha, ha,
Yeah.
you'll never find me, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's also the case of there's probably nothing in like Mary Kay Letourneau's past to indicate that anything like this would ever come up. And again, this is the case we talk about defining somebody as like that your classic run of the mill pedophile, and then someone who has some kind of a weird
Yeah.
trigger that is very specific and direct, and so the act becomes a pedophilic act. But would you define them? Can you define them across the board this way? Well, probably not. Mary Kay was married and had her children. I mean, I know that there are pedophiles out there that get married and that's their cover. But in the case of Mary Kay and Christina Formella too, there's probably nothing in their past to indicate that anything would ever happen, that had ever happened, that would lead to something like this. And that maybe in this situation, it was unique to each of them, right? That for Christina Formella, it was this specific 14, 15-year-old kid
Yeah.
that drew her in. And maybe that was going to be it,
God, it's so interesting. You just never know. After
You
listening
don't
to this,
know.
after listening to these two people talk about their experience, and not everyone that's traumatized will act out, right? But
Sure.
but often there is some developmental thing that happened that kind of like wires you in a way where you're like, you get like what Ted Bundy said about his early experience with porn and how it married like sadism with sex.
Right.
And so there's this thing. So yeah, you just never know. I mean, who knows? Maybe she had been walking around with like, look at these luscious 14-year-olds. We just don't know.
Right.
Yeah, it's so wild. Unless they self-report, which who's going to do that in this day and age
No.
too, right?
Yeah. It's interesting too, because there's a gentleman that I knew back in the day who was really into feet, like really like foot fetish, hardcore foot fetish thing.
Mhm.
He loved feet, fucking loved them so much. And I asked him, when did that start? I'm intrigued because, in the adult industry, you see a lot, there's entire scenes dedicated to women's feet
Mhm. Mhm.
because the fan base is so strong.
Mhm.
So I was always like, what is that? And he traced it back to being at an age where he was starting to become like aware of like sexual arousal. He was hitting puberty,
Mhm.
and there was a girl that sat in front of him in class,
Mhm.
that he thought was cute or whatever. And she had little like slip on sandals, and she sat in front. And so she'd tuck her feet underneath her seat and then just sort of let her sandals kind of drop down so he could see the soles of her feet. And
Mm.
that's where it started for him. So
Yeah.
something triggered, like
Yeah.
that was a thing. That's where that started. So you think about when people are coming into whatever and they are introduced to things, whether it's they're abused at a certain age, and so the wires get crossed as far as
Mhm.
their association with sex and arousal is linked to being abused. And
Mhm.
there's something to be said for sometimes like a response to being sexually abused is one of arousal that happens,
Yes.
especially in young boys where they can't control what's happening. If they're being stimulated, they're being violated. It's
Yes.
a physiological response. Same thing for girls sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God. You're making me think of this. It's so interesting, right? The range of experience. So you have someone with a fetish, and this happens with pedophiles too. You've got like somebody who will describe their foot fetish as, oh yeah, I walk around and I look at people's feet and I just love feet. And like if it's a part of my sexual experience with someone, that's great. It adds a little spice. And then there are people who are like, I cannot get off unless a foot's involved. So it's like the same thing with pedophiles. It's like some people have very normative kind of sexual preferences. Like they like sex with adults and they have a little like the one woman that was interviewed for this podcast, she said, I don't look at children. It's girls because she was sexually abused by a woman when she was young. I don't look at little girls and sexualize them and think about having sex with them. But if I see an image of a sexualized child, I'll have a response to it.
Oh,
And
geez.
so it's such a varied experience. It's not this sort of monolith. It's not this, and she's fully not acting out. She thinks it's, and she's doing what she can do with harm reduction by she'll only watch things with young kids in them if they're cartoons, and they're called lollies. It's after Lolita, like the Lolita. They're called, I guess,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
porn. Yeah. So, and she's like, it doesn't stoke my desire I would never do that. I don't want to hurt children, but it doesn't increase my desire. It feels like harm reduction. So like if someone doesn't want to drink, if they like eat a little bit of weed or something, like it's this thing, but it's so hard to even like, I think it's so taboo and it's so terrifying and it's so harmful because people who do harm many people usually. It's not just like it's serial, and I think there's like a collective kind of repulsion when people start talking about this. But what I really got from it was there are so many people out there who are suffering with this and they can't tell anyone, because when they do, they get rejected. Some people are accepting. They can talk to therapists. Therapists specialize in this, but that treatment can really work. Intervening in someone's life and reducing the stressors in their life and helping them live their life in a better way, and focusing directly on the sort of, if there's an impulse to act out, how do you work with those impulses? It's kind of like alcoholism and addiction in a way, like managing it so that if you have the desire, you don't do it. But is it 100% foolproof? Like, I don't know, and so, and like, do things like, the other question I had was like, do things like these directories work? Like the list you can see of all the pedophiles around you. Like, do those actually keep kids from being hurt? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one safeguard,
Mhm.
I suppose. It's hard, and I think I know that I have spoken in previous episodes about, my own abuse when I was 7 years old, when I was sexually abused, by somebody that I was supposed to trust, that abused all the young girls in our family because he was a family friend, and we were not protected, and we were not believed when we told adults about it. The hard part is that the repercussions are so awful
Yes. It
that it's a thing where I don't know. I understand. It's like, number one, as somebody who has been on the receiving end of abuse, and how I can't even speak to how horrible it is, but also being a parent, and being afraid of these types of things. I am sympathetic to those that find anything related to ideas of pedophiles, or ideas of adults that are guilty of relationships, like Christina Formella, or Mary Kay Letourneau. Whether they are pedophiles in the traditional sense or not, it's what they did was, potentially irreparable harm. Right.
yes.
And what happened with Billy Falau, and he has spoken about it, is he'll never be the same. He will never
No.
be the same. So it's hard. It's a hard conversation to have, but it is a case of, I mean, there are, as you say, there are people out there that recognize these urges in themselves, and they're trying like hell to not hurt anyone.
Ugh,
And
yeah.
so I see that, and I'm like, fucking A. Yeah. I mean, if there's any way to keep this from happening.
I know. It's such a weird thing. It's like how all crime is not preventable.
Right.
So, and then there's the whole thing of like, does mm, does does shifting a term like pedophile to minor attracted person, does that actually invite people into treatment more often? Does that actually result in a net gain in terms of protecting the public? Or does it sort of neutralize and make it normalize it, right? Is it like, do you, so for me, I'm like, how, like, for me, I'm like, how, if we want to protect children, we have to educate kids. We have to educate parents. We have to help kids need to be able to talk to their parents. Their parents need to believe them. Teachers need to be attuned to this kind of thing. And if people are having these urges to act out and hurt kids, we have to, they have to be helped. You know, that would be helpful, right? If we could help them learn not to. But I bet there's, I mean, it's, what's astounding to me is like, I don't know how many of these, how many people have these thoughts and feelings who aren't acting out on them. But from a, like a public health perspective and a public safety perspective, I don't know. Because what happened to the guy who was interviewed in this podcast was that he was trying to educate people about the range of experience and like the danger involved, like that not everybody who has these attractions is a threat necessarily, but could be under certain circumstances. You know, like if they got really close to a kid, right? And then it became really compelling. And then would it break down any sort of resolve they had to not do it? Which sort of happened with this guy and his niece. But what he described feeling toward his niece was just a regular love that you feel toward your niece and nephew. But that she became like very important to him. And it was, anyway, so they had a pretty normal relationship. He didn't do any sexual acting out, but then he was involved in online communities trying to talk about minor attracted people. And somebody found out who he was and told his whole family about him, that he had these fantasies, and everybody dumped him, which only adds to the problem. Because if you're lonely and you're isolated and you're depressed and you have no relationships, that makes you more likely to act out in some ways. So I don't know what the answer is, but
I mean, at that point, unfortunately, I kind of subscribe to the whole 12-step thing, which
yeah.
is you kind of just have to steer clear of
Yes.
minors, period, as much as
Yes.
you love your niece.
That's what he
I don't
said.
know.
He's like, if I had been in therapy then, I would have, because he's in therapy now. He's like, if I had been in treatment then, I would have totally done that whole thing differently. Like I wouldn't have let myself get so close. But what the sad part was that he was just describing normal feelings of like connection, not sexual. It was like, I never had felt this way before, but like I can see now why parents would die for their kids. He's like, because my nephews and nieces, and that's how I felt about my nieces and nephews when they were born. I loved them more than I've loved anyone. And like, it was just automatic. And so it was weird. It was like, you could see his emotional and sexual kind of his desire to connect, and how even like emotional closeness, I think maybe got lumped in with something and he was feeling like bad, whatever. But he said if he had been in treatment, he would have handled it totally differently.
Right.
And that's the part that's gets to me, is like, yeah, I don't know what we do, but yes, you should not be around kids.
Just shouldn't be. Just
Yeah.
plain and simple. It's the same thing with 12-step when they're like, even if like marijuana is not something that you're into, just you have to abstain from all things. You just have to stay away from all things because anything can potentially trigger, you don't know.
Hmm.
But
Yeah. It's your
yeah,
substance. Yeah.
but oh geez. It is it's a really difficult thing. I am going to say from what one thing that needs to fucking stop is the disgusting age play shit in porn, which
Yes.
a lot of the porn that is made is like this the stepmom, stepson, stepmom, stepdaughter, stepdad thing where they get all of the legal shit out of the way, right? So in the beginning of a scene, they have the characters indicate quickly that they're not blood related, that the characters are not, that it's a step relationship, and that the kids are of legal age, right? So it's like 18 because that's the bare
Hmm.
minimum,
Hmm.
and you establish it a certain number of times, and then you get into the sex scene where they start using language like mommy, which
Hmm.
adults don't. say mommy, right? Little children say mommy and daddy. And that, I've always said, is dog whistling pedophiles.
That's so
And so that's out, like that kind of stuff is made, and it's disturbing and grotesque, and I don't think it fucking helps anybody.
no.
It's someone was saying like, oh well, wouldn't that be helpful in terms of harm reduction because you're able to watch it and sort of get your jollies off through watching it, and apparently the data is showing that no, if anything, it ramps it up.
Well, especially if you start watching it young. I mean,
Right. And we, as we know, there just simply are not, where we are now with the internet, with cell phones and all that kind of shit. Really young children can access this stuff, and we've had this conversation. But I've said this many times that I feel like nowadays, and it's not all, but a lot of the pornography that is created now is made for addicts. And
it's so immoral, but it's like the money, right? It's like
it is.
yeah.
It's the money, and then people lie to themselves about the fact that, well, but these are legal adults, and we have the the 2257 paperwork to prove it. And I'm like, yeah, that's great, but why are we making this kind of content? Why can't it be, people who are playing, like they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, having relations. There's so many, like, I'm like, are you that stunted that you can't come up with any other type of fantasy scenario that is not fucking gross and disturbing?
It's so the dark side of the model, right? Like of competition. Like if they don't do it, somebody else is going to sink to that level and do it, right? Like if it's sort of like with AI, it's like you can't stop. We can't stop AI because not we can't get everyone to agree to pause around building the technology because of the markets, right? Like someone's going to keep going. So we all have to keep going. And it just feels like that with porn. Like well, yeah, I mean, the addicts are your bread and butter. And so rather than have, sort of like a moment of, having a conscience around what you're contributing to in the world, right? And deciding to do something else. I mean, you can still make money. I'm sure there's a lot of money to be made for porn that's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's shit. Back in the day, there was a pornographer by the name of Andrew Blake, and you can look up Andrew Blake content. It's beautiful. It's shot on film. It's these beautiful, stunning adult women who are gorgeous, and his preoccupation was in just showing off the beauty of these bodies, these beautiful male and female bodies, and remember when that was
I
I'm,
know.
I sometimes I'll go on to set and be like, remember when it used to be glamorous looking? Like, I mean, I've always said like porn is absolutely a blue collar job. It's a hard physical, it's hard physical labor. It absolutely is. But there used to be a fantasy aspect where you'd put on beautiful costumes and have your hair and makeup done and look good, and the men you know were whatever. Sometimes they were hot, sometimes they
They were
weren't.
not.
Right. I always just think of like hairy mustaches
Yeah.
and Ron Jeremy and all
Yeah,
that from
that's
like
what
a
came
long
to
time
mind.
ago. Like that's the thing. It's like you think of women and you think of like these stunning, like gorgeous women, and then you think of like Ron Jeremy.
Yeah.
But no, like there's like Rocco Siffredi, super good looking guy, and all that. But anyway, like that was a thing, and then it just devolved. Um, so yeah. But anyway, we are totally going off topic. Talking about, oh well, we were talking about the type of porn that comes out that is absolutely not helping the fucking cause with
No.
pushing these ideas of older, younger, and incest scenarios and stuff. But all that said, Christina Formella, I think her case is going to trial next year at some point.
I know I cannot wait to see where this goes.
And it'll be interesting to see if her husband and family stands by her all the way through, or if, you know, she she's insisting that this kid was framing her, and including, oh, no, the journal entries when she was using her notes app as like a journal, she was saying it wasn't about him, it was about somebody else.
It's what's wild to me is the family standing by her. That's, I don't, yeah, it's maybe it just seems so counter to everything they know about her. But I think that, I mean, people hide these things about themselves and it's very hard to know, right? I mean, it's like,
This could also just be for the sake of public perception that they're standing by her, but privately they're wondering, like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, that notes app, are you kidding me? That was clearly like, who would that be about?"
that's a smoking gun. I
That's
mean,
a total smoking gun.
yeah. I mean, and plus, the kid, you know, we have his testimony and
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what kind of sentence she gets and compare that to cases of men who perpetrate. Because it said in the research that I did that they do get lesser sentences because of the perception around, the harm.
It will be interesting to see what happens with this case, and if, number 1, will she be sentenced? Number 2, if she will stay in her marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to think about preparing children for this kind of thing. But I don't know. I don't know. I wonder if kids are being taught, that if an adult tries to get you into a relationship like this, what to look for and how to protect yourself and how to tell someone. And I hope that's happening, you know.
It's, one thing I meant to bring this up earlier,
Mm.
but it's so interesting. There's a whole thing now on, I guess it's like parenting TikTok, where there's a movement against allowing for sleepovers
Wow.
because things can happen. And because you're trusting,
Totally.
these types of, you don't know these families, and even if you do, it's that a lot of bad things can happen. It reminds me of the movie Happiness, that Todd Solondz movie. Did you
Yeah.
see Happiness? Remember
Oh,
the
yes. Yeah.
the sleepover thing? Yeah, there's the whole sleepover thing with that dad, and things have happened. I saw and it was a mother that was a perpetrator.
Mhm.
And this was a body cam footage of an officer that comes to a house, and a young girl like calls her mom, who then calls the other friends' parents, and they all go to this house, and they call law enforcement on the way, and these girls come out and they're scared, and that the mom was up to something. And the
Wow.
father was acting like, "What's going on? Shucks, I had no idea. I'm not sure I mean, who knows?" I'm like, he's probably in on it. But there's a whole movement towards like not allowing for sleepovers, which it's so interesting because it's such a rite of passage,
Yeah.
especially for our generation. It's like everybody did sleepovers, and
But you are vulnerable,
you are
something.
absolutely, it's
Yeah.
like when you look at it, and there was one woman that's saying, what did she say? I forgot what her job was. Something like, as a former person in law enforcement, here are things that I would never do as a parent.
Yeah.
And then she lists that off, like, not, I would not allow sleepovers. Sorry. It's too many things have happened in her line of work that she has seen that she would feel comfortable. And I was like, holy crap. So there's that. I mean, that's, again, I just, that is absolutely valid. So that is one thing. The conversations, which they're much better now, it was
Mm.
happening on the later end. And so, like, when I was a kid,
Mhm.
I didn't know until a few years later that what had happened to me, I sensed that it was wrong. I sensed it was bad. I felt a lot of shame about it. But there was one of those like traveling, like, troops that go from school to school, and they teach about
Yeah.
things to look out for, and like that like, if this happens to you, it's not your fault. It's abuse, all that. That is what led me to actually tell adults about what happened,
Mhm.
to no avail. But there's cases where adults will listen, and at least at the very least to know that what happened to me was wrong, and that what happens
Yes.
to children is wrong. So you
Yes.
see a lot of stuff with that. There's also conversations, and I think we have gotten better. Just there's
Yeah, if anybody touches you here, that's not
it's
okay. Yeah.
but also that boys can be abused, because
Mm,
that's a thing where I think
yeah.
as we've moved into this generation, I look at Gen Z, and one thing I will say, I know that Gen Z gets a bad rap, but one thing that I've noticed with Gen Z now is there is healthy conversations around mental health and around seeking help when you need it.
Mhm.
Also defining what abuse is, recognizing it, and that yeah, young boys and young men can be abused.
Yes.
Even though there's the creepy reaction like that they should be getting off on it. Like it's so annoying. It makes me oh shit, she's hot. Why didn't my teachers look like that? Like it's just annoying. Like what you're gonna make these guys feel like now they feel that they're somehow not macho or cool because they
They
feel
didn't like it?
violated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some kids, I told you about Zach, Tim's friend. He was working at a restaurant on the boardwalk in Venice, and some ladies were having a 35-year-old birthday party. And the ladies all, and then this is just like, he's working in the restaurant. He's 15. He's precocious in his development. And they start making out with him, and he calls up Tim. He's all, Tim, these old ladies are making out with me. Come over here. And Tim immediately runs over there, just like watching this all unfold. So we asked him, we're like, Zach, can we talk about this on the podcast? He's like, okay, fine. Yeah, totally. And Tim's like, well, how did you feel about it? He's like, greatest thing that ever happened to me. So, but that's so different from your
Sure.
teacher,
Yeah.
grooming you. And, I mean, it's still weird, like a 35-year-old making out with a 15-year-old. It was the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, it's different time. But, I think that there are people in the world who are that age and have fun in a
Sure.
situation like that. I wouldn't have. I would have been horrified.
We don't, but here's the thing too is did he even say, like, did they even ask him how old he was?
No. And then, and
See,
yeah,
oh, he probably at 15 looked like he was 18, 19, 20. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's a thing. It's like I would not label those women as pedophiles. They were
right.
clearly drunk and having fun, and he was virile, handsome. Like again, like when I was going to these wrestling tournaments, I'm like,
I know.
is that
It's
kid 18? He looks like dude, he looks like he could be in his 30s.
it's so true.
It's so I'm,
Yeah, but
that's the thing.
generally that sort of like it's such a throwback though to like our time in the 70s and the 70s and 80s, like that dude kind of thing, like, oh, I'm hot for teacher, you
Right,
know.
right, right, right.
But yeah, that's just that's a bad joke. That's like it totally what's it called? Like it minimizes the harm and the experience of people who really do feel violated and are violated, by people who should not be having sexual relationships with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, right. Gosh, when you talk about our generation, holy shit, remember the movie Big?
Yeah.
That movie is problematic now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like 12. Josh Baskin is I remember that movie.
Yeah.
And then he suddenly he's like still got his 12-year-old brain, but then he's in like the Tom Hanks's like 30-something-year-old body. And then he gets involved with that woman. And then later on, when he goes back to being 12 and she sees him and she goes, "Look me up when you're 18," or something. And I'm like, okay.
I know.
Dude, it
I
was
know.
yeah, they're so oh yeah.
And also we should say this is always something I think about. Like in early times, 15 was like middle age. My
Yeah.
grandma got married when she was 14,
Jeez.
because they were poor.
Right.
She and I think my grandfather was 15. So, and in different cultures, like even in different states, like in Kentucky, the age of consent is 15. The age of
Eesh.
consent here is 18. The age of consent in France, I think, is like 16. So it's all sort of arbitrary. It's not based on an individual's actual developmental
Sure.
level, which makes it hard. The libertarian streak in me is like, we should handle these cases on a case by case basis, because there are those cases. When I was 17, I had an older boyfriend. So at one point he was 19 and I was 17. And
Right.
so I'm like, suddenly you could be charged with statutory rape if you have, and it just felt like this weird thing around, like, if some kid had a parent that was not happy and found out that their 17-year-old had been with their boyfriend for like maybe, I don't know, 5 years or something. He has a birthday, and then if they wanted, they could get him arrested and he'd have a record. So I feel like there should be some sort of like an individual consideration if prosecuting these cases for the whole context.
Sure.
Not to say that, I believe that adults should be having sex with children. I do not at all. But anyway, just had to put that in there as a layer.
Well, yeah, no, and I would hope that I guess I would hope that that would be something that happens depending on the age thing, like you were saying, like having, an older, like your boyfriend's 2 years older than you. Like, I would hope that that is something that they kind of just do offhand. Like there's like a general thing with age of consent, and then yeah, as each thing is presented, they look at it, the totality of the thing, and go, okay, well, come on, she's
I know
16,
people.
he's 18.
I know people who got charged with statutory rape for that. It went on their
So then they
record.
end up on like the sex offender registry list for something like that. That's
Yep.
ridiculous.
It's too rigid. And like, especially because and also I believe in bodily autonomy. And when I was
Yeah.
16 or 17, I'm like, I can fucking make that decision if I want. Who are you to
Yeah.
tell me that I can't make that decision until I'm 18?
Right.
But other people might not feel that way at all. They might be like, hell yeah, I'm way too immature to make that decision. But like, so I just feel like from a body autonomy position, I'm like, I can drive a car, but I can't make a decision about like, but yeah. So anyway.
Right. No, it's true. Yeah, you can vote, you can drive a car, but
Don't let anybody stick it in ya.
Yeah. Not yet. You gotta wait. Be patient. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, wow. I feel like we covered a lot of different things today.
We weaved around.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, tell us what you think. We can't say this enough. Just because we express maybe a little bit of understanding or compassion, it's not like an explanation isn't a justification.
No, not at all.
And we're not saying like, we're on the side of pedophiles just by right? Right.
Yeah. No, and I don't think that we even said that we were on the side of pedophiles.
But if you appear to give any sort of like, want to call them minor attractive people or see them as a human, people
I hate
will
that
accuse
term.
you. I did too.
Yeah.
MAPS.
Yeah.
That was the name of MAPS was the name of my political group that I was in during COVID when we talked politics.
Oh.
Forgot what it wasn't minor attractive people. It was something else. I don't know what the acronym was for. I forget. But anyway, yeah, it's a dumb. I mean, it's so, and I don't even know if it's necessary. It's like, call a thing what it is and let it have the potency, but also be nuanced about like, people who are actually offending and people who aren't offending, but who are afflicted by this thing.
Yeah,
that would be helpful. But yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens with Christina Formella, and yeah, crazy stuff. On that note, thank you so much for listening. Please let us know your thoughts and different ideas also for harm reduction. And we have a lot of listeners that have experience in counseling. Anyone that's in law enforcement, anyone that we'd be interested to hear some perspectives and ideas also. So please email us, leave us comments. You can follow us on Instagram at Secret Passage Podcast. On X, we are at Secret Pass Pod. And if you are so inclined, you can also follow our Patreon. And we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
When your daughter's learning how to drive, you say,
Híjole, here we go.
but what you should say is,
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
to help you choose the coverage you need. State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.